Well, hello, it's Soul with another video. These are the sponsors right above me, and I have a little bit of breaking news that I want to share with you. I'm not even gonna, it's so breaking that I don't even have a script for it, and it's going to show most definitely, but I'm glad to be here, especially because as I speak, I am breathing in skunk fumes. This is so disgusting. That just kind of goes to show how dedicated I am to bring you, news and stuff. So anyway, for the past couple of months or so, I've been saying, hey, you know what? There might not be an 8.3.5 patch for Battle for Azeroth because logic, because it wouldn't make sense, because it would push the Shadowlands date back a little bit too far. And I've been met with a lot of doubt for the most part, but it turns out that I was right. Dang. In an interview with website Millenium, they asked game director Ion Hazzikostas about Torghast and Shadowlands and a hypothetical 8.3.5. He straight up says, first of all, just to get it out of the way, we currently don't have any 8.3.5 plans. There may be some small system tweaks or updates for stability between now and Shadowlands, but Visions of N'Zoth is really the concluding chapter of Battle for Azeroth, and yada yada yada. So there we have it. The effective timeline for the BFA expansion is going to end, well, tomorrow, because I'm producing this today. The patch 8.3 is coming out tomorrow, and that's going to be it. My suspicions over there not being an 8.3.5 patch go pretty far back, but they didn't really manifest until we started seeing data from the 8.3 PTR. If you look into the game files, you'll see voiceover files that are tagged with 8.3.5. That tells us a lot of things that we can't really verify, but I would speculate that once upon a time, the original planning for BFA suggested that these game files, which happens to be voiceover files for what happens in Horrific Visions, that Horrific Visions was supposed to be in patch 8.3.5. So does that mean that originally Ny'alotha and Horrific Visions was supposed to come out in 8.3.5 and 8.3 was supposed to be like this really long, drawn-out experience? I don't know. And so there you have it. There's a lot more that Ion talks about in this interview. I'm going to have a link to this Millenium interview up in the description. But as for the subject of today's little video, what is this going to mean without having an 8.3.5 patch? It definitely means, and it was in fact said in this interview, that there is not going to be an account-wide essence thing going on. It's straight up a line that Blizzard doesn't want to cross. Now you can definitely disagree with it all you want, but until we bust the doors down with flaming cyber pitchforks, that's just how it's gonna be. Just because there isn't going to be an 8.35 patch doesn't mean that there's not going to be any patch at all, whether it's going to be some sort of stability patch or some minor thing that's going to offer some tweaks. For example, if Blizzard does in fact relent and give us some sort of account-wide essence thing. One of the little items that makes me think, hey, maybe this should be added, is if there's going to be some sort of legendary catch-up thing based on the 8.3 patch. I was talking about this from the previous weekly, from a previous interview with Mike Bybee and Steve Denuser, that there was going to be some sort of legendary catch-up in case people wanted to play 8.3 content on their alts, or if they're just coming back after a hiatus or whatnot. They don't want to feel like they're really falling behind, or they don't want to feel like they're stuck going through the same paces that day one players, such as you and I, might be experiencing. But without an 8.3.5 patch, that's going to mean a couple of other things that people might have been hoping or wishing for that we're just not going to get. It looks like we're not going to get any last-minute allied races, although to be frank, Battle for Azeroth brought in, well, pretty much the whole tab of allied races that we're seeing here. I know that I'm not too keen on collecting every allied race there is, but I think that having too many just in one expansion might be a little bit too overwhelming. I'd hate for the experience of Battle for Azeroth for some players to be like, yeah, I just leveled up a whole crap ton of allied races, ew, whoop-de-doo. And I've been talking about this for a while, but I didn't think that there was anything significant enough to be included in an 8.35 patch, except for perhaps, allied races would have been one of them, but also the whole level squish thing. That could have been something that would be brought into an 8.3.5 patch. It would have been incredibly disruptive, and I do think it's the better idea to have it in the 9.0 patch instead. But we're not going to get that, or allied races, or account-wide essences. So without having an 8.3.5 patch, does that mean that Shadowlands is going to come a little bit sooner than some of us have been speculating? We have seen on the Shadowlands pre-order that Shadowlands is meant to come out no later than the end of this year, 2020. But we've also seen, thanks to the Warcraft 3 Reforged delay, that that date could possibly be pushed out. Not having an 8.3.5 patch means that, okay, cool, maybe this is going to come this year, that it's most definitely not going to be pushed back, but I'm not going to say that 100%, you never know. So the questions now are, well, when is Shadowlands coming out? Is it going to be late summer like it has been for the past couple of expansions? Is it going to be delayed even further, which means that we are in fact going to be stuck on this particular tier for 10 to 12 months or so? There's been a lot of grumbling on the forums and Twitter and elsewhere that this final patch of BFA is going to leave us pretty empty-handed, at least after a couple of weeks or months once we finish the content, and that there's very little to look forward to before Shadowlands comes out. We haven't seen or heard anything about media like comics, novels. None of that stuff has been teased or talked about. There's been grumbling over a lack of a trailer for patch 8.3, so there's been a lot of expectations from players that haven't been met. Whether or not those expectations are like a bit too high or whatnot, that's entirely your opinion. But that's going to wrap it up. How do you feel about this? Do you think Shadowlands is going to come out late summer? End of the year? Do you think it's still going to be delayed regardless? Let me know your thoughts in a comment below, and I'll see you for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.